The all-new Redmi Note 13 retails for 225,000 naira or $160 for 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage, while the Redmi Note 12 from last year retails for 182,000 naira or $130 for the same memory configuration. Considering these devices share the same processor, is there any reason to upgrade to the newer one, which is the successor to the Note 12 from last year, or are you better off holding on to the older device? Let me help you decide, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. Design isn't a leap from the Note 12 as seen on the Note 13 here. Everything about the port and I/O has practically remained almost the same, so they're still rocking the plastic build and keeping the precious headphone jack. The only major thing I did notice about the backs here or the rear is the fact that this is a fingerprint magnet and this has this matte finish to it. But don't click away just yet, there are a few key changes you should know about. First off, the Note 13 is a bit smaller than the Note 12 here, so it's easier to handle. And instead of the old dual SIM tray you get on this device with a dedicated micro SD card slot, they've gone for a hybrid SIM tray this time. Plus, they've upgraded the IP rating here from IP53 to IP54, giving this a little bit more durability. But that's not all. Let's not forget about the biometric scanners on these devices. Both smartphones have fingerprint scanners placed at different locations. The Note 12 has this lightning fast fingerprint scanner right at the power button here. No frills, just speed and accuracy. On the other hand, the Note 13 here has the slower type of fingerprint scanner, which is an optical in-display scanner. It actually does the job, but if you're in a hurry, then the Note 12 takes the crown for speed. Now let's talk about the speakers on here. The speakers is another aspect as far as build quality that are a little bit different. Unlike last year's Note 12 with just one speaker, the Note 13 rocks a two-way stereo speaker. This means you get one speaker at the top and the other at the bottom, so you have dual speakers from the smartphone. It's harder to muffle the sound from this device, and that's a big win for me in terms of the audio coming out of these devices. Both of the smartphones come packing a 6.67-inch AMOLED display that brings you the smoothest scrolling and animations thanks to their 120Hz refresh rate. They even come with Corning Gorilla Glass 3 to shield the screen from everyday bumps and scratches. The real kicker here is when you take these phones outdoors. The Redmi Note 13 boasts 1800 nits of brightness, making it a champion under the blazing sun. Meanwhile, the Note 13 reaches a respectable 1200 nits of brightness, which is something you can use actually under direct sunlight, but won't be as great as this other one. So if you're all about having a phone that shines even on the sunniest days, then the Redmi Note 13 is the clear winner. Now let's talk about performance. These two smartphones have something in common, and they are powered by the same processor, the Snapdragon 685 chipset. So when it comes to how fast and smooth they can run, it's like a neck-and-neck race where there's no winner actually. Straight out of the box, the Note 12 comes with Android 13, and so does the Note 13 with MIUI 14 on top of both of them. So you're looking at around 3 years of software updates on these two devices. As far as software and OS, you can't go wrong with either. For the cameras, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro lens on the Note 12, while the Note 13 brings along a 108 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and also a 2 megapixel macro camera. To the front facing cameras, you get to see a 13 megapixel lens on the Note 12 and a 16 megapixel lens on the Note 13. Now, let's talk about the quality of these photos. When you take photos of humans, you actually would get a more realistic color and rendition from the Note 13. That is to say that the photos and details are better on the Note 13. In fact, when you crop into the photos from the Note 12, you can see it begins to fall apart. But for the skin tones, both of these devices are slightly tilted away from the real life colors. I also did realize that because of the greenery, they tend to affect the overall photos on the Redmi Note 13. At other times, the photos are really close. But more often than not, I still see the green tint and the off-white balance thing going on with the Redmi Note 13. This was also the case with the wide shots. Even though there are better details retained on the Note 13, I still somehow preferred the white balance on the Note 12. For portrait shots, the Note 13 takes the lead with a better cutout and separation from the background. And now when you switch over to the front-facing camera shots, you notice that the Note 12 smoothens the faces, making it look super plasticky, but the Note 13 does a better job at retaining more detail, not totally rendering these photos useless. Generally, as far as photos, there were times when I preferred the photos from the Note 12 and other times where I preferred the details from the Note 13 here. And for the front-facing shots, I think the Note 13 did better. Now, for the video side of things, you can record it at a maximum resolution of 1080p on both of the smartphones for the front and the rear cameras. Honestly, for the front-facing camera videos, they were about the same, although you get a wider field of view with the Note 13. I also do think it's a thing of personal preference as far as the videos here, since they share this peculiar color profile. The The rear cameras are quite close yet again in terms of the videos, and there's some form of stabilization thing going when you run with these devices, but the wobbles are more noticeable on the Note 13, probably because it has to process more of the video to give a little more vibrant grains and a tad bit more contrast. I also do not see a major difference here, but this has to be chosen as a matter of preference. So for the cameras, the Note 13 wins only because it has a little more detail with the selfie camera shot. Otherwise, there's a really negligible difference in terms of the photos here. These awesome smartphones come equipped with 5000 mAh batteries that ensure that you stay powered up throughout the day. But the most interesting part or thing about this is the fact that they have fast charging speeds. They both come with 33 watts fast chargers right in the boxes, and that means you can charge up these devices from 0 to 100% in about 70 minutes. So no more waiting around for hours to get your phones up and running. So as far as the battery capacity and chargers here, they're about the same. For the same memory configuration of 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, you can get the Redmi Note 12 here for 182,000 naira, $130, while the Redmi Note 13 will go for 225,000 naira or $160, which is a $30 difference in price, roughly 43,000 naira. So here's my verdict. If you already own the Redmi Note 12, there's no reason whatsoever to upgrade to the Redmi Note 13. It simply isn't worth the upgrade. I mean, a slower in-display fingerprint scanner, a hybrid SIM tray, no real improvement in terms of the performance or camera, and a slightly better speaker for 40,000 naira or more. Just wait for the Note 14 instead. But if you don't own the Redmi Note 12, I still see no reason for you to get the Redmi Note 13. This is better value for money. You can save that $30 and use it elsewhere. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below before you check out my individual reviews on these smartphones. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Cuídate.